Okay, so welcome back to Lawrence Explains Online Academic Tuition. In this video, we are going to do a quick express rapido edition of Poetry Revision, and we're going to take a look right now at the Power and Conflict collection, Extract from the Prelude by William Wordsworth. I will read the poem quickly, we will then do a very brief analysis, and I will also show you 3 key quotations. So if you're looking for quotations for this poem and you need things to revise and remember, this video will be helpful to you. Extract from the Prelude by William Wordsworth. One summer evening, led by her, I found a little boat tied to a willow tree within a rocky cove, its usual home. Straight I unloosed her chain, and stepping in, pushed from the shore. It was an act of stealth and troubled pleasure. Nor without the voice of mountain echoes did my boat move on, leaving behind her still, on either side, small circles glittering idly in the moon, until they melted all into one track of sparkling light. But now, like one who rose, proud of his skill, to reach a chosen point with an unswerving line, I fixed my view upon the summit of a craggy ridge. The horizon's utmost boundary, far above, was nothing but the stars and the grey sky. She was an elfin pinnace. Lustily I dipped my oars into the silent lake, and as I rose upon the stroke, my boat went heaving through the water like a swan, when, from behind that craggy steep, till then the horizon bound, a huge peak, black and huge, as if with voluntary power instinct, upreared its head. I struck and struck again, and glowing still in stature, the grim shape towered up between me and the stars, and still, for so it seemed with the purpose of its own, and measured motion like a living thing strode after me. With trembling oars I turned, and through the silent water stole my way back to the cover of the willow tree. There in her mooring place I left my bark, and through the meadows homewards went, in grave and serious mood. But after I had seen the spectacle, for many days my brain worked with a dim and undetermined sense of unknown modes of being. Over my thoughts there hung a darkness, call it solitude or blank desertion. No familiar shapes remained, no pleasant images of trees, of sea or sky, no colours of green fields, but huge and mighty forms that do not live like living men, move slowly through the mind by day, and were a trouble in my dreams. To my dreams. Okay, so this is part of a very long poem called The Prelude, written by William Wordsworth. He's one of the great English poets, one of the great romantic poets, maybe the most well-known. As far as romantics go, this is a real classic romantic poem. He focuses in on nature, on the kind of divine or spiritual aspect. And he is concerned with the great, grandiose, and grandiloquent questions. These are absolutely characteristic of romantic work. So in this case, this poem is a classic romantic poem. So first of all, let's just quickly double check the line length. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've got 10 syllable lines, which hopefully those of you that studied Shakespeare, which will be most of you, if not all of you, will recognize the line. You may have recognized it when I heard it. It's iambic pentameter. This is a classic verse form, obviously immortalized by Shakespeare, and it gives the poem a certain rhythm, musicality, and also a kind of sense of grandness. So those are some of the features of the verse form. Let's just quickly work through the poem. So the overall kind of narrative of the poem is that Wordsworth is basically going out on the lake, in his boat, and just feeling confident, feeling good about himself, powering through the water. All of a sudden sees these gigantic, this gigantic peak. And it's so big and so dark and intimidating that it actually sort of gives him the creeps, basically. And he scuttles off, goes home, and he thinks about it for days afterwards and reflects on it. And he feels that, the mountain almost has a sense of power, basically. So that is the overall kind of narrative. Now, rather than go through like line by line, there are other places where you can get a very, very close breakdown like that. What I want to do is just go through 3 key quotations with you, just in case, it's the day before the exam, even the day of the exam, and you just want some key quotations to take away with you. So let's look at quotation number 1. Proud of his skill, unswerving line, my boat went heaving through like water, the water like a swan. So this is a quotation which takes several parts of the text and collates them together. They're all close together. And this is about him navigating through the water. So proud of his skill, unswerving line, meaning a straight line, a direct line. My boat went heaving through the water like a swan. So, proud of his skill, unswerving line, swan. They'll create a semantic field of confidence and elegance. And at this point, there's almost maybe even a sense of hubris, sense of his own greatness, of his own power and quality early in the poem. So this is from the beginning of the poem. He's confident and he's roaring through the water. And this quotation here, this semantic field, reflects his state of mind. As we move through the poem, later we see this quotation here, a huge peak, black and huge, as if with voluntary power instinct, appeared its head. So we've got here a personification. Because it's just a mountain, it's not actually doing anything, but it's been personified. And there's a repetition of huge as well, obviously, here, just to emphasize the size. It's obviously black as well because it's night, and that gives us a sense of mystery as well. And this other interesting part of the quotation here, as if with voluntary power instinct. So there's a concept that is outlined by other writers, not so much Wordsworth, but Nietzsche particularly, that all animals and all creatures have a sense of their own power, have a sense of the need to exert themselves in some way upon the world. Look at the animal kingdom, look at the human civilization, this is probably very much the case. So it's as if this mountain has that power instinct, has that desire to exert itself as well. So we've got a personified mountain here, and it's overwhelming to the sight of Wordsworth at this point. And this is a kind of turning point in the poem. You might call it the peripateia, which means the turning point of the poem. Before he was confident and he was sure of himself, now he feels dwarfed. Last quotation here, huge and mighty forms which do not live like living men moved slowly through the mind by day and were a trouble to my dreams. Okay, so this is at the end of the poem where he is reflecting on, what this experience was, why it disturbed him so much. And he kind of has this analysis and this breakdown of the mountains. They're kind of what we might describe as perennial. They do not live like living men. Something that's perennial, like a perennial tree, it basically is in bloom all the time. And something that is perennial kind of historically is something that just never goes away. And a mountain is very much a perennial form on earth. Move slowly through the mind by day and were a trouble to my dreams. So this experience has actually disturbed him, like it's actually affected his psyche here. So a trouble to his dreams, and he reflects on the experience afterwards. And there's a great sense of humility, but it's probably even beyond that. It's a sense of his own insignificance, possibly even humiliation in the face of this great, powerful form, which is the mountain. So he begins the poem in this section here as confident, energetic, powerful. Here in this section here we have the peripeteia, the turning point, and then his sense of fear. And then at the end here we have this kind of sense of humility at the end of the poem. So it begins confident, we have a turning point, and there's this kind of sense of humility in the face of this great and powerful construction. And this is, it's an interesting idea. I don't know if you've ever been past like a great mountain at night. I can understand where it's coming from here. It's a bit of an odd concept, to be honest with you, when you read it for the first time, like what, he was afraid of a mountain. But when you go past like a great mountain at night, it does have a certain effect on you. Maybe the same with a huge, great house or a great building, or even like a great ship. When you go past them at night, it's almost as if they take on another quality, just by the sheer size of them. So I think that's what's getting at him here. Although it does seem quite intense that he went away and thought about it for days, and it was a trouble to his dreams. But this is William Wordsworth. He is, he's a great poet, a very sensitive, artistic soul. So this is the 3 quotations. These are the 3 quotations I'm going to leave you with. If you are interested in finding out more about my own services, you can go to lawrenceexplains.com. I'll also put the links to my book and my online course as well below. So good luck with whatever exam you've got coming up. I hope this helps.